Okej, teraz mam prośbę.
O, potrzebujesz przerwy?
Listen up, kids. I've been polyglotting for longer than you've been watching YouTube polyglots, I guess. And, I've been through phases, right? From the very start, I've always valued working with one-to-one tutors online. I've done almost 150 lessons by this point, and we'd focus on different things during different stages of my learning, as I showed you in this video last year. And ever since my first lesson, surprisingly in Japanese, I've got help from my tutors with learning Swedish, Hebrew, apparently Italian, Taiwanese, and most notably Polish and Welsh on my journey to polyglottery. I only took a break from those when group classes came back with a vengeance, as I started going to multiple classes per week, which kind of took over all the free time I had for language learning. But for now, I think I might be done with group classes. Or at least I'm done with them in one specific way, which I do think a lot of people often take for granted. And in fact, I've already missed the early bird deadline for next year's Welsh classes. And also, a lot of the courses have already been filled up. The summer break has given me the chance to go back to one-to-one lessons, and I quickly noticed how they are filling some gaps that, in retrospect, are really obvious in group classes. And that got me thinking, if I were to compare online group classes to online private tutors, which ones have actually benefited me more? And more importantly, which one should you choose for your own learning? Well, almost 2 years ago, I discussed the pros and cons of going to a group class. In this video, I'm going to pit the two against each other based on my experience as a serial language learner and score them in 5 different aspects, which you'll find out as we go along. And yes, I get to decide on the categories because this is my video. So welcome to Rhapsody Lingo. My name is Israel. Go press that like button and let's move on to... Whether it be online group classes or online private tutors, I've done them in cafes, I've done them in pubs, I've done them on trips, and of course I've done them at home. This one, for example, I did in a Cafe Nero on my way home because I'd scheduled that lesson just hours in advance.
Wow, a gdzie jesteś? Ładne tło.
Dziękuję, jestem w kafejce.
It only takes me a few clicks to arrange lessons with any teacher I want and do them wherever I want, all thanks to italki, the online language learning platform that's sponsoring this video. As you can see, they offer personalized one-on-one lessons with native level teachers like Agata here, whom I've been working on my Polish with since 2023. Every time I want a lesson, I go to my favorite teacher, I check their availabilities, and bam, I've booked a lesson. I tend to pay for each lesson when I want it, but when I'm feeling lazy, I get a package for a discount and motivate myself to do more of them. Whenever I'm on the search for a new teacher, such as a new language, I spend some time browsing teachers and comparing their experience, interests, and rates. I also make sure to watch the self-introduction video to get a feel for their vibe, or their accent if I so desire. It can all be super affordable and flexible. Your main task is just to choose. Whatever your language goals are, there's a good chance you can find someone who can help you get there. So click the link in the description now, because the first 50 of you who use my exclusive code Rhapsody26 will get 5 USD off the first lesson when they spend 10 USD. Now let's get to group classes. When it comes to location, it obviously depends on whether it's an in-person class or an online class, both of which I've been doing. But for fairness, let's focus on online classes. Similar to my private lessons, I've done my online Welsh classes everywhere, as long as there's internet, of course. So I'll call that a tie. I guess you kind of have more control over the location of your private lessons as a side effect of being able to choose the lesson time. But that might be splitting hairs. There is one difference that's quite fun though. There was one time I did a group class in a pub, and because of that, I tried to speak as little as possible and just let everyone else talk. So it was great for my comfort because I could just hide if I didn't want to participate. But then the downside is that I could hide, whereas a private tutor would have forced me out of my shell and practice. So let's say they cancel out? +1 for both. In general, group classes almost always have a clear, predefined structure, because that's the easiest and most common way to guide and engage all the students in the group. That ranges from the topics they cover, the grammar and vocabulary that build on previous lessons, to specific learning activities like speaking and listening that also tie into those topics. For example, the Welsh and BSL classes I've been doing lately have followed centrally designed curricula that use existing learning materials like textbooks and work towards formal qualifications. Private tutors vary a bit more in this aspect. Different tutors advertise different services. Many offer free-flowing guided conversation, which is what I tend to do.
Ale teraz jesteś w domu, czy nie?
Jestem.
Czy tak wygląda na taką bibliotekę, czy coś takiego? No ale bardzo dobre to, bo czy możesz po prostu udawać, że to są twoje... to jest co?
Dyplomy?
Dyplomy, po prostu dyplomy.
Moje osiągnięcia.
Prawie za każdym razem, jak testuję coś nowego, no żałuję.
O, tak? O nie!
Tak. Bo zawsze mają coś innowacyjnego,
Aha.
nowe smaki, a potem nie podobają mi się.
O, ale nie poddajesz się. Dalej próbujesz nowych rzeczy.
But others offer structured lessons, including things like using textbooks, like group classes, a variety of learning activities, and exam prep. And on top of that, working with Agata over years has, in a way, offered a different kind of structure. As she slowly gets to know me, not only my Polish strengths and weaknesses, but also my personality and interests, her teaching style and corrections naturally mold themselves to me.
Za każdym razem, jak mam tego typu projekty, zawsze mam, no boję się, że coś pójdzie nie tak, że coś...
Może wystąpią jakieś problemy.
Ale jest w jakiś sposób bardziej kolokwialny?
Aha, no, oczywiście, że jest.
No. Bo tutaj nie pada często, ale nie pada intensywnie. Jak się mówi?
Tak, intensywnie.
Intensywnie? Nie leje.
Nie leje, albo możemy zrobić żart. Często, ale nie gęsto.
Często, ale nie gęsto. Właśnie tak.
Meanwhile, it's way harder for a predetermined curriculum in a group class to drastically change according to the learner's needs. Let's say we give 1 point to group class and half a point to private tutors, depending on who you go for. If you know me, you know that I like to go off the beaten path with my language learning, if you know what I mean. I'm actually lucky that I'm focusing on British languages at the moment, so that it's easier for me to find group classes in BSL and Welsh. But even so, before COVID, I would have been hard-pressed to join a Welsh class in England, because as far as I know, I don't think they did virtual classrooms back then. But the moment I hop on italki, there are 9 Welsh teachers ready to go, plus several more that I've worked with years ago who don't teach there anymore. Yes, the famously dead language that you can book a lesson for in like 2 clicks. Obviously, with more popular languages like Polish, you get hundreds. Not that it makes a big difference because I know Agata pretty well compared to the rest of them. One of the things I like to do is to click around and just explore what niche languages they teach on there. And boy, you'd be surprised. Even Armenian has 20 teachers and BSL has 2. I doubt I'd be able to start an Uyghur course next week if I wanted to, unlike on italki. I can even start and stop anytime I want, rather than being tied to a year-long course right away, which is great for dabblers like yours truly. Let's give 2 points to private tutors. Now, I don't know about you, but as a hongkonger, saving face is important. And when I'm in a group class, sometimes I just feel the stress of many eyes on me, especially when I'm making a basic mistake.
Szybki.
Tak.
Z jakichś powodów w mojej głowie pojawiło się czeskie słowo, czyli rychło po czesku. Ale wiem, że to po czesku to rychło, bo przecież byłem w Czechach. Teraz jestem bardzo świadomy tego, że nie podobają mi się moje ręce, jak one wyglądają, ale niestety takie mam, a nie mam opcji.
Nie masz wyboru.
Nie ma wyboru.
And yes, that is despite me preaching that making mistakes is a good thing. It's just a natural part of our psyche. I'm also wary of holding up the entire class when I want to ask questions that are oddly specific and only benefit me. These worries all go away with a private tutor, especially one that I've worked with for a while and feel at ease with, like Agata. I can be as stupid as I need to be and ask as many pointless questions as I want to, except that I'm now showing you this footage.
Mam pytanie. Czy po polsku mówi się aha, czy coś innego?
Można powiedzieć o.
O, no właśnie teraz uczę się tych bardzo, bardzo małych, drobnych rzeczy.
Tak, one nadają smaku.
Ja nie jestem wegetarianinem, ale podoba mi się smak tego hamburgera. Hamburgera?
To jest dziwne, nie? Bo hamburger teoretycznie, gramatycznie jest żywy.
No tak jak Facebooka.
Tak jak banan. Chyba też się mówi banan.
Banana. Czy mam hamburger, czy mam hamburgera?
Raczej hamburgera.
Okej.
Tak, jem hamburgera, lubię hamburgera.
And yes, I know. In every language, there comes a point when I have to step out of my comfort zone and be challenged with real life situations, like living in Swedish with Scandinavians. See my ongoing Iceland series for how that happened. But the thing is, very often you're not in control of your fears, and if your fears completely stop you from practicing, then that's not very conducive now, is it? The private lessons also give me more space to experiment with words and phrases that I'm learning, regardless on what level those words and phrases are supposed to be.
Jest aspekt niedokonany? Chyba nie. Nadają się do osób brakującą disabilities, niepełnosprawnie.
Bardzo blisko, niepełnosprawnością.
Z niepełnosprawnościami.
Aha, super.
Są zawsze jakieś sposób do dopasowywania tego języka do każdej osoby. Potrzebowałem takiej leap of faith.
O, skok na głęboką wodę.
Aha, skok na głęboką wodę. Na głęboką wodę.
If I had been in a class and tried to use a word that's too advanced, I would have had to explain that to the class. And in fact, so my classmates have done that exact thing, and I had to ask them to explain it to me. And that takes up some extra class time. Another point for private lessons. And that brings me to my last and most important point. When you've worked with the same private tutor for a long time, like I have with my teachers and also with my students, whether Cantonese students or language coaching students, it eventually becomes like talking to a friend. It feels a lot more genuine. For example, with Agata, we've now got to a point in our lessons where she sees my face and knows I'm about to experiment with a word or a phrase that I'm not so sure about. So she knows that I want to be corrected, even without me asking at all.
Ale przecież nam język migowy brytyjski to niezbyt trudno się douczyć. Jest to rzeczy nawet nowego języka migowego to nie jest zbyt trudno.
Nie, tak jak się wyrazić. Nie bardzo zważam na wybór napoju. To lubię testować nowe napoje.
Tak, niestety nie mamy takiej infrastruktury, ale to musi się z tym pogodzić.
And as we've got to know each other's personalities and values a bit more, it also opens up possible topics like politics, which you generally avoid with a stranger.
Po prostu zaczęło się psuć. Zaczęło się robić dziwnie i w powietrzu było napięcie. Za każdym razem, kiedy szłam do sklepu spożywczego, zastanawiałam się, czy to jest mój ostatni raz. Nie podobało mi się to napięcie, nie podobała mi się sytuacja polityczna.
A to nie jest podobne do Polski.
Nie, to całe szczęście. Nigdy nie daj Polakowi z pistoletu, to był koniec. Nawet nie czytałam dokładnie, ale wyświetliło mi się na Twitterze.
Czyli ty dalej jesteś na Twitterze?
Oczywiście, że tak.
Oczywiście, to nie jest oczywiście.
By the way, if you'd like to build a relationship like that with me, use the link below to start language coaching with me, where I use my experience learning languages to teach you how to learn best every step of the way. I still have fond memories of past conversations that I've had with my tutors. Like there's one time I talked about drinking tea in Poland versus in the UK, where we have milk in our tea, which was unfathomable to my teacher, and they have like syrup or juice in it. Or like, I remember talking to Agata about her moving to the US, and now she's moved back, so it feels like I've witnessed the entire character arc.
Ale chciałem zapytać, co się zmieniło w twoim życiu? Bo ostatnim razem to pamiętam, że byłaś w Ameryce, ale nawet nie wiem, czy w Teksasie, czy gdzieś indziej.
Chyba nie byłam jeszcze w Teksasie. Ja pojechałam...
And as I always say, when you remember what context you learned a word in, when you remember what you were talking about at the time, or what imagery was in your head, that's what makes the word stick. Now, in a group class, I can also build such a relationship with the tutor. In fact, I've met up with the tutor of my Welsh class multiple times, as well as some classmates. But the thing is, when she has to divide her attention over 2 hours for a bunch of people and try to work through all the various learning activities that she's prepared, it's less of a given, or there's fewer opportunities that we get to know each other that well. It's not her, it's just the nature of the learning setup. Though in return I get to build some level of a connection with more people as we rotate conversation partners during the class. So let's say half a point to group classes and 1 point to private classes. So that's the final tally. 2.5 versus 5.5. Private tutor wins! But does that mean I'm never taking class again? Well, unlike some apps would like you to believe, language learning can't really be reduced to numbers like that, nor is it a one-size-fits-all solution. But throughout this video, I've reflected on my years of experience with both group language classes and online tutors on italki. I've compared the pros and cons of each one, and re-evaluated the role that they play in my own language learning. And so far, whenever I've been in a language class, it's been the skeleton of my language learning. As in, I rely on going there every week to absorb new information, and I do extra self-study as required to supplement my learning in the class. Crucially, my progress has been tied to the course design. At the beginning of the video, I've said I had to take a break from private tutors because of the time commitment of my group classes. But moving forwards, I think I'm going to try and cut down on my group courses to try and find a new balance between them. Classes could still play a role in my learning, but I think I'll use them more conscientiously, as in I'll think about what style of teaching they use, what level I'm at, and what I expect to get out of these courses. I'll design my own language learning structure using my knowledge and experience of what I need most at this point and what I think works best for me. And if I think a class fits that, I'll go for it. In the same vein, I'll also think about how private tutors fit into that. But since private tutors are more flexible and diverse and are more able to mold to my needs, as long as I tell them that, I think I'm more likely to lean more into them instead. Even if they cost me more per hour, I think they might end up costing less in the long run, relative to the progress made and time spent. So that's it. I really think it can't hurt to try, so click the link in the description now, spend some time finding a teacher you like, and give it a go. Hopefully, you find someone who'll be by your side and keep pushing you to improve for years to come. And remember, the first 50 of you who use my code Rhapsody26 will get 5 USD off their first lesson when they spend 10 USD. So hurry up. Once again, big thanks to Kamil and Laurence for supporting the channel as channel members on the all the way level, and I'll see you in the next one.